Thank you, friend, for joining me today. Thank you so much for your prayers and support for this ministry. Let us continue reading this book, and I call this a series, The Coming of the Counterfeit in Seventh-day Adventist Church, 1957, Exposing the Corrupted Word in the Works of Leroy Edwin Fromm. We are now on the third part of our series, and thank you so much for your prayers and support for this ministry. Before I do share with you the reading and some comments, I would like to invite you for a word of prayer. Father in heaven, thank you so much for being so good and faithful to us. Have mercy, O Lord. Send us your spirit and your guidance and give us your wisdom. Your wisdom is through your Son. Your Son is your wisdom. Literally, the only begotten divine Jesus. In his name I pray. Amen. On certain controverted doctrines among conservative Christians, listen to how Leroy Edwin Fromm uses this section to draw you into the polar right and the polar left views of the Christian church. Leroy Edwin Fromm wrote, "We hold one or of two or more alternate views, we believe." You see how he is trying to set aside the literal beliefs of the pioneers by saying, by interpreting, we have two or more alternative views. And then he uses the word we, when in fact it comes from him or he alone, and few others who agree with his views. It was not the view of those pastors and leaders who learned from the pioneers' teaching. So Leroy Edwin Fromm wrote, we believe, but actually he's representing his own self. The man is free to choose or reject the offer of salvation through Christ. We do not believe that God has predetermined that some men shall be saved and others lost, because yes, Calvinistic is rejected by the Seventh-day Adventist. Number two, that the moral law of 10 Commandments, or the Decalogue, is the standard of life and conduct for all men of all ages. We do not believe that the Decalogue has either been changed or abolished. This is true. Yet he did not highlight and magnify commandment number 1, thou shalt have no other gods before me. To him, Trinity was not an idolatry. Number 3, that baptism is to be administered by a single immersion. We do not believe that it may be administered by sprinkling, pouring, or trine immersion. Correct. Number 4, that man was endowed at creation with conditional immortality. We do not believe that man has innate immortality or an immortal soul. That is indeed what the pioneers believe, and he wrote it, and I'm glad. Number 5, you see, truth is always mixed with error. That the wicked will be punished by suffering and complete destruction in the lake of fire. We do not believe in the eternally burning hell in which souls are tormented without end. He did not specify the timeline according to Revelation, yet he continued. Number 6, that the seventh day of the week is the Sabbath. We do not believe that the Sabbath has been abolished, changed to the first day, or is merely a seventh part of the time. This is correct. Number 7, that the principle of tithing is God's plan for the support of his church. We do not believe that tithing was only for the Jews. No, he did not specify here that tithing is according to the belief of our pioneers was disinterested benevolence. Number 8, that God created the world in 6 literal days. We do not believe the creation was accomplished by long eons of evolutionary processes. In fact, this is being debated by other Seventh-day Adventists, but Leroy Edwin Fromm was able to mix truth in his presentation to appease the evangelicals. Number 9, that the correct view of prophetic interpretation is best set forth by what is known as the historical school. We do not accept the systems followed by either the preterist or the futurist. Number 10, the church and state should operate in entirely separate spheres. We do not believe that in an attempt to control man's religions or religious activities, the church should dominate the state, or that the state should govern the church. So far, we have not seen anything that will trigger the red flags. Number 11, that the ordinance instituted by Christ, that of washing of one another's feet at the time of the Lord's Supper is to be practiced. We do not believe that this was merely an accommodation to custom and necessities of those times. Number 12, the last, that we should obtain from such practices the use of alcohol, tobacco. We do not believe that indulgence in these things is fully representative of the character of the Lord. You see how he highlights only few, not the panoramic view or the general accepted health reform message of the pioneers. So slowly the message is being eroded by Leroy Edwin Fromm in this section of our reading. And so, friends, there's more to come. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for your prayers and support. May God our Father continue to bless you and his Son be gracious to you now and forever.